Thanks, Lauren. Thanks again for everyone for joining us. Patrick Haley here from BCS ProSoft on our customer team. Today we invited Alltech to show you DocLink, which is Sage's endorsed document management solution. And the goal is to show you some more effective ways to manage everyday business processes by taking your document management digital. So hopefully we can eliminate paper and streamline some of your processes. The reason we invited Alltech today is because this is the time of year that we start getting lots of questions about some of your 2019 initiatives, and document management is always one of those ones that comes up every single year. So we wanted to invite them out towards the end of the year so we can start kind of looking strategically at the beginning of 2019. And hopefully we can give you some ideas on how going digital can help you improve efficiencies in accounts payable, receivable, sales orders, contract, HR, really any department in your company. So today we're joined by Warren DeViro and Mark Uranza from Alltech, and they're gonna show you what I mean by going digital. A quick note before we turn the meeting over to Warren and Mark is, again, the chat box is open in case you have any questions, and we'll try and answer them throughout the presentation. Again, everything is going to be recorded as well, and we will share a link to the recording of this later on. Without further ado, though, Warren and Mark, thanks for joining us. Warren, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick and Lauren, for that introduction. Good morning, everybody out there. I hope you're having a great morning and getting ready for the holidays. My name is Warren. I'm the sales director for the Midwest for Alltech, and I'm also joined by Mark Uranza, our sales engineer this morning. And we thank BCS ProSoft for our partner for inviting us to show you around DocLink, talk a little bit about document management. More importantly, I want to thank you all for taking your time to join us today. We'll try to make this eventful. We'll try to make this something you can take some knowledge away from, and just think a little bit more about how you can improve some of those processes. So I'm going to move this forward, just like that. There we go. So we'll talk about what's going on in the world right now in business. Of course, digital transformation has been happening, is happening, will continue to happen for a long time, transforming everything into a digital world, which is really a great thing. Our job here in our business is really how do you connect all of that? Take that data, take that information, and connect the people and connect the processes that you do and the data all together, for a competitive advantage, to improve business processes, to hopefully make your job and life a little easier and get you home at night early if we can. So that's always the goal of what we do, in more of a paperless environment if you can. That's the goal. There never will be completely no paper, but we're getting pretty close now. So that's one of the goals. Our agenda today is this. We're going to look at taking everything digital with DocLink. We'll look at, when we talk about a data-driven world, what that means right now. Real high overview of what is DocLink. That's our software product. We'll look quickly at our Sage ERP integrations, move into some of the departmental benefits and some use cases for each some of the departments that are in your organization. And we'll have a demonstration. It'll be focused a lot on AP processes, but really also general uses of the product. There's only so much time here, so we wanted to focus on AP today, but there's a lot of uses for the product. And then we'll have a Q&A, as Patrick and Lauren said. As we go along, type your questions in. We'll try to get to all of them here or at the end of the process. So that's what we're doing. So let's talk about a data-driven world. As you see here on the screen, this is what's going on. The emails sent today on the right. Internet users, blog posts, tweets, and everything going on in the business world is real time. You can get information that you need, when you want it. That's really important. So do you have access to your own data, though, is one of the key questions. What happens? How do we get our own data? I can find something on the internet. I can maybe look for a restaurant on my phone. If I see a restaurant I like, I can make a reservation immediately on my phone usually. Look at the menu, etc. But when we talk about our own data, do you have immediate access to it? How does that kind of look to you? Many people use filing cabinets still. Great, but the idea is to get rid of that paper. Filing cabinets are becoming antiquated. They take up space. They can be messy. Things can get lost. They can also present problems when you talk about security and then retrieving and being able to reproduce those documents. A lot of companies use a network file share, more of a tree structure with folders, et cetera. That's antiquated as well. Hard to find things. It's kind of messy and it's kind of big. We like software. We like using the software side of it in a flat kind of an organization. You'll see what we mean. How we organize our products and how we organize your data and documents. So think about how you're doing it today and if it really makes a lot of sense or if it's just costing you time and you get frustrated. So what is DocLink itself? The company is Alltech, of course. DocLink is our flagship document management and business process solution. Companies use it for a variety of needs. They can be all interwoven together or one at a time and individual. Like we talk about capture on the left. Really, we're capturing documents. We're capturing data. We're capturing information from various input sources, and during the demonstration, you'll see how that's done. So we capture that information and that document. So now that we have that, what do we do with it? Well, some people want to be able to search for it later, retrieve it and store it. We can certainly do that in many different ways. There might be workflows involved in that where there's a business process of some kind. In this case, we'll talk about AP a little more. How do we get that invoice into the system now instead of manually pushing it around? How do we do it electronically? Get it paid quickly, get the information off of it correctly, and move it forward and get it paid in a very timely manner. It could be a workflow. There's many different workflows. You might be thinking of some yourself right now that you use on a day-to-day basis that could be automated. Automated delivery is a big part of what we do. We can automate a lot of the processes. You don't have to think about them. These processes might be on the AR side. I've created a purchase requisition. I'm going to move that through the system to get it approved, get it signed off, get it sent off to the vendor, all automated. Nobody touches a piece of paper. A lot of things like that we do with the automation. Also, we'll look at smart forms a little bit. This is a really great product in DocLink that allows you to do a lot of business processes and automate things as well as create unique forms that you might want to use. Some examples will come up here in a little while, but we'll look at smart forms and how that really makes a lot of the processes we do move along quickly. Our integrations are great. They're uninterrupted. They're really deep. It allows the data, like it says here, to flow side by side, and these two products are talking to each other. Look at those integrations. We are integrated with really the entire Sage line. Been with a partner with them for a very long time. We've been around 35 years. We've been with Sage many, many years, and I really work closely with them to integrate our products instead of just a loose word integration. These are tight integrations. These products are talking to each other. If you notice on the screen, we are integrated with 100 and 100C, 300, 300 CRE, 500, Sage Intacct coming around right about now, early 19. And then what used to be called X3 is now Sage Enterprise Management. And out of the box, these products all can work with our software. As Patrick mentioned, we are the only Sage-endorsed document management system. Very important. Sage puts out on endorsements as their highest level of attainment. It means say when they want this product to work with you, you call them up, they'll say it's called Alltech, called the DocLink product. So it's really important. As the Sage products move along and get changed and they add more features to them, we're right there with them to if we need to modify and change our products. So that's what that's our relationship with Sage. So what is the impact on your team itself? How does every DocLink impacts you? Well, talk about accounts payable. Some of the things that come out to us and questions that are asked, they want to do. Accounts payable wants to minimize data entry all day long. You're entering data. I imagine there's a bunch of AP people out there, AP folks, that might have that issue or just say, I'm always on the keyboard. I want to stop this, I want to be able to access the documents and really do timely approvals and get these things paid. And I also want it to integrate, like I said, back and forth with our ERP. There's many more things that can be done as well, but that's some of them. So by minimizing data entry, we allow you to automate that capture product and index those documents and those invoices, in this case, automatically right in front of your eyes. Things are done and they're indexed and ready for the next step. Also can reduce that reconciliation and matching. We can provide a two-way match, a three-way match in the system for you to really say, okay, we've got an invoice that matches a PO, but it also matches a receiver or a shipping document. And by leveraging the ERP data, again, we reduce the human error. I mean, we all make mistakes. It just happens. We're trying to reduce that as much as possible and get as close to perfect as we can to speed up the whole processes. So really, we can capture this data anywhere. I wanted to talk about that, and that's what it really looks like. We have the ability to use our product, DocLink, with many multiple devices, such as a desktop or a laptop device, but also out in the world that we live in today, which is ThinkPads, SmartPads, smartphones, etc. So DocLink is a very useful product in that way, where you can really do anything you want from anywhere, and that's part of the beauty of what we're doing. Something we're doing for a construction company we have, they now have over 2 million documents in DocLink. That's a lot of documents. They're a construction service contractor. They have immediate access to their documents anywhere they want to be. They're a national firm. And if you think about that, I want to find something as simple as a work order change from a building we built a year ago. You can find that immediately with our system, or any other type of document, including the contracts, payments, personnel, et cetera. That's the beauty of our system. Everything is at your fingertips. We can do approvals of what we want to work with, and you'll see that in the demonstration. We can approve and deny and add information right, again, from a mobile device if you want, or from email directly. So, again, we don't have to walk down the hall or attach something and send somebody, call them on the phone, whatever you want to do. This can all be done immediately from where you are. So these approvals can be done right from your phone. You can delegate the authority. So let's say someone in the office is away, or you're away on vacation, or you step out, and something has to be done. Well, we can set up a system for you to say, okay, if this doesn't get done in a timely manner, move this somewhere or notify someone of a process that has to be done. So it takes the guesswork out of, thinking about, did this get done? Is it getting done? Are we being efficient? So we can delegate this workflow authority in the system and have the ability to view that if you have those permissions. And Mark will talk about permissions as well, like a dashboard to see where all the processes are in real time. Some of the internal business processes we can use, especially for that smart forms, we can do new vendor setup, check requests, expense reports. We use that a lot in our company. We have a product called the DocLink mobile app we use for expenses. Credit card processing, utility bills, lots of processes in your company that you may be on a day-to-day basis can be used with our product. If you're an accounting manager or controller, we talk to a lot of them. They are looking for visibility and reporting, of course, but improved accuracy and a really higher value add. I'll explain what I mean by this. We can monitor the workflow status, and I had talked earlier about delegating authority and workflow. That can happen. So I can monitor workflows that are going on. If I see some bottlenecks or want to make some changes or add things to it, we can do that, again, as long as you have those permissions. Manage audit trails, very important. Everything that is done in DocLink has an audit trail behind it. Who opened it? Who viewed it? The change they might have made to it, due to it, or something like that. So everything is there in an audit trail behind it. So if somebody has to look at something or wants to see a process of where it's done, certainly do that. It's right on the screen for you and see everything that's been done. We have a lot of financial reporting that can be done. So you can improve the financial reporting you do right out of DocLink. Develop some really nice reports and get an idea of, well, how much did we spend on this vendor for this month period? Or maybe these product lines or these GL codes, et cetera. So we can streamline a lot of the accounting we do by doing this. Accuracy. Of course, nobody makes mistakes. But if you do, we improve that accuracy, of course. There's some value add here a lot. This is from PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is real information that comes out. On an average, it takes about $20 to file a document, one document. If I'm going to retrieve that document, it's about $120. This is based on time spent and wages, et cetera, and just the whole idea of getting documents. If we have to recreate a document, that's about $220. So you multiply that out by the number of documents, the money is being thrown away by doing these things manually. We can improve those processes by doing things electronically. Another thing of this is one of our customers. There was their storage bin with huge, ceiling high filing cabinets, if you would, or paper cabinets. They were storing all this, so now it's gone. They saved about $85,000 alone just in storage and retrieval of on-site and off-site documents. So think about that yourself. You might have some documents off-site somewhere, and it might be hard to get to. That's what we alleviate. AR on the accounts receivable side, invoice delivery quickly. Let's get the bill out to the customer and get it paid. We have supplemental documents. You might want to add documents to an invoice. It might be a quote. It might be the purchase order. It might be any type of information you want to add. Our system can automatically add those documents to that and send this out to a vendor or supplier of some kind if you want, or the customer, and get you back pay. The idea is to reduce those days, outstanding. Get that information out, get those invoices out, and get the bills paid. Improve customer service, very important. Your vendors and your customers want to get the information quickly, and they want to take care of their business as well. So that's what we're doing. We automate it through pre-configured routing rules. I can set up something to say, route this to this person automatically, have them look at it, approve it, maybe add something to it, some information, some notes, send it on, and then send it out to the vendor automatically if you want to do that. And attach backup documentation like it says here. You can customize every one of these for preferred distribution for individual types of processes. So DocLink is very easy to customize and work with to your needs and specify the delivery schedules on that. One of our smaller government software developers saves $11,000 a year in postage alone. They were mailing out everything they were doing, invoices, customer information, you name it. That's gone. So this is all year-over-year savings. And, if you're on a controller or CFO, you think about that, there's a lot of money you can save. Okay, get it into the CFO side. We want to increase that productivity, right? We want to be able to get more out of what we do a day-to-day. They're also very concerned about compliance and the risk that's involved in this. There's a lot of risk involved in documents and information. CFOs I've talked to are looking for an enterprise-wide solution, and we provide that. So one of the things that we did for a company, they expanded without adding new staff. They're able to increase the productivity, and they're saving year over year, on this customer alone, $48,000 in salary. The ROI on DocLink is really quick, really fast, in months. So that's what we can show you in an increased productivity, 70, 80% increase with a huge reduction in cost. Compliance, one of the things we were just talking about. We can give auditors access to the documents they need. You can invite the auditor still to come in if you choose to do that. But in this case, you're going to give them access to the documents they need via a login and secured information that they want to see. Only what they want to see and what they need to see, and they can say, okay, I've got this, and they can print it out or take it out on a thumb drive. But it makes things really quick and really don't have to hunt down those documents anymore. You can also give auditors access via the system outside. They don't even want them to come in. They can come in and give them a login to the system and do what they want. And I'll say this nicely, get out and get on with their day. Enterprise-wide solution, huge thing here. DocLink is really designed for that. A lot of companies start with AP, improving that process. Some companies start with HR or AR, but in general, they really tend to push it out amongst the company and say, okay, this can be used for everything we want. Once you have the system and the repository, you can add different types of processes and people into it. For HR, we can add a complete onboarding process or just keep those documents where we need them. Contracts and contract management, internal, external. If you're an FM or facilities manager, you might have services to do and build outs and things. We can manage all that. Field services, a lot of mobile captures, service calls. We work with a lot of oil customers in drilling. They want to do things in the field. So we provide an enterprise-wide solution. I'll buy it once and use it throughout the company. Finally, on the CIO side, Chief Information Officer, security is huge. Disaster recovery and meeting the industry standards. So security can be down to the company, the department, the document type, and the property value level. Mark, hopefully you'll be able to have a chance to touch on that. Again, down to the document type. We could say this person could look at this document, but they can't act on it. Some people might be able to see certain documents, or if I'm on the AP side and working on the process of fulfilling those invoices, maybe I can only see certain GL codes, and that's all I work with. We can do a lot of things with the security of our product for you. One of the things on disaster recovery, we had a company that had a big issue when there was a tornado hit, a Category 3 tornado. There was no data lost, no delays for about 100 offices. So if you think about that, the building was almost wiped out. But because everything was done electronically and secured off, business kept going, and they didn't lose any money and didn't lose any customers. They were able to handle everything they did. So nobody wants these type of events, of course, but they do happen: floods, fires, or tornadoes. So you want to be prepared for that as well. Okay, wrapping up here. So why DocLink? Well, these are world-class products. They work with how they're supposed to. They're designed well, and they're constantly being improved. Our implementations are rapid, and the integrations are deep. Outstanding customer support, 365 by 7 support for you. Really good at that, really timely. They're very smart people. They know the Sage products as well, so we can be there to help you if you need to. All right. If you're ready to take everything digital, of course, get back in touch with BCS ProSoft. Hope I was helpful to you and give you some information. Right now, I'm going to turn this over to Mark Uranza, who's going to show you around DocLink and give you a demonstration, and we'll get your question answered. And thank you for listening to me. Have a good afternoon. I'll talk to you again in a few minutes. Mark, it's all yours.
Great. Thanks, Warren. Great intro, and thank you for the intro as well, Patrick. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Uranza, as Warren mentioned, and I'm going to go ahead and conduct our demonstration for today. So hopefully everybody can see my screen okay. Warren, can you please confirm?
Yes, I can see it fine.
Okay, thank you, Lauren, Warren. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so Warren gave you a lot of use cases, a lot of case studies, the benefits of implementing a document management system. So my job here today is show you how the rubber meets the road. What does that exactly mean? How do these companies save, from storing, from a workflow, from an approval process? And today I've basically prepared for you a simple accounts payable process and how we can, based on technology, make your lives simpler. So I'm going to start off with just onboarding a couple of documents here. There's multiple ways of getting a document into the system. One of them is via email. So if you're having your vendors email you your invoices here, you can just send it to a dedicated email address. As the vendors send it, we have the ability to monitor that email address. We'll see here, I have my inbox. My email has now come in, and you'll see that being read here in a few seconds, actually, as you can see there. So what happened there in the background behind the scenes is as somebody submitted the email into that inbox, in your dedicated email inbox within your organization, we go ahead and take the invoice. I'm going to just open it real quick, and extract it and bring it into the DocLink environment, DocLink system. Now, in this case, what happens is the first step in our process is just extraction of data, or intelligent OCR. You guys may be familiar with that term, OCR. And basically what it does is it intelligently extracts information from the invoice itself without you having to manually data enter in any of the information. So in this case, you'll see my invoice has come in. You'll see that I have a green check mark on this document. And basically what happens with OCR is we convert the information to something that's readable, or something the machine, the system can understand. So here in this case, as you can see, as I hover over some of the information on the invoice, it's telling you what the red value is. And that's how the system basically automatically detects and finds the information that you would key in into your system. So I'm going to break this down into a couple of steps. This is the extraction or intelligent OCR phase, right? So we do that for non-PO invoices as well as for PO-based invoices. So just a couple of examples. Once again, this is a high level depending on what process you're trying to improve. But as you can see here with PO-based invoices, we're also capturing the line item details. And with PO invoices, we have the ability to conduct a 2- or 3-way match at what we call header level or line item level. So we can validate your PO and goods receipt data with your invoice all the way to the quantity, all the way to the line level section. Okay. Once again, keeping it high level, definitely we can schedule meetings and something to discuss your current process with. In this case, I'm going to take my non-PO invoice and actually send it to my workflow, where the next steps would really be the accounting process, so geocoding and approval. So when I get to that, I'm going to go ahead and show you what our workflow interface looks like. From here, I'm going to go ahead and open up basically that transaction. And this is where it gets easy because really you have the invoice that you're seeing here. You have some information that got submitted from the transaction itself. And then you have the ability to go ahead and conduct what we call GL distribution. So in here, you can access the GL distribution stamp, which allows you to go ahead and code this transaction. So here, this is equivalent to the invoice entry screen. With the GL distribution stamp, we have the ability to create templates. So if you have recurring invoices, your utilities, your phone bills, you have the ability to go ahead and have predefined templates that will make your life easier. Again, once again, not having to key in, any of that information, such as so. Right. So in this case, you have the ability to go ahead and also distribute the information or distribute the GL lines that you have here. Alternatively, we're also using the information from Sage. So in this case, if I need to change my vendor code for some reason, when I click on this box, you'll see that I'm looking at my Sage vendor master. So this information is coming from Sage, and we're able to go ahead and repurpose all that information that you have within Sage, as well as the different GL account lines that we have here. So if I click down in this area, you'll see that I'm able to pull up the GL account codes from Sage, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put this into a one-liner. Go ahead and I'm going to match my invoice amount here, so we have pretty good data coming into the system. And as you can see here at the bottom as well, now we also have the ability, to, when we distribute it to different lines, you can basically distribute, there'll be a calculation that happens on the bottom down here. So if I enter in a value here, you'll see that it went ahead and doing the automatic calculation for me. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and distribute this into one line. And now I'm down to 0. And then from here, basically, the GL coding process has been completed. Now, this is not set in stone. If your process happens to be, hey, Mark, I want to go ahead and send this invoice out for approval first and have the approvers provide the GL coding capabilities and then send it to AP afterwards to review and finalize it, that can happen as well. The workflow is fully configurable to how it works within your organization. So in this case, I can go ahead and what we call stamp. So we're committing the transaction here in our GL distribution line to the invoice. So as we stamp that, you'll see that a secondary page has been appended to my invoice, and I'll show you a use case for that here in a little bit. Other features that we have within DocLink in itself, we have our informational notes, which basically allows you to provide notes as it goes through the workflow process. Also, approvals and denials could be done here. And as Warren was talking about security earlier, whoever accesses this transaction, we will take their user logon and provide that as part of the audit trail, as well as the date and timestamp when they have either reviewed or approved this transaction. From here, I can go ahead and send this out for approval. Right? So at this point, I can go ahead and send this out for approval. We have multiple ways of the approval methods within DocLink in itself. You'll see here one of them is via the smart client. However, we want to make it easy for the approvers to also access this transaction. If they're remote, if they're on the road, or other use cases that they have, we have multiple ways of being able to approve a transaction. So in this case, some examples that we have, if I go into my approver email here, we can provide an email notification simply with just a link to my IT manager for approval. Alternatively, you have the ability to also be able to approve from email. So in this case, with the use case I want to talk about is being able to have the invoice attached as well as the GL coding that was done to it so that they can really review it from the email source itself without having to log into DocLink in itself. And then from here, if they approve, they can simply click the link. It'll go ahead and approve that transaction. So as I mentioned, multiple ways of being able to go ahead and approve this transaction without even having to go into DocLink in itself. So as I go ahead and do that and just move through the process, you'll see my transaction being approved and moving on to the next step. Now, we also have the ability to evaluate contents of that invoice. So if you have multiple levels of approvals that need to happen based on dollar amount or based on GL account codings, those scenarios could be addressed as well. At the end of the day, once everything has been approved, our partnership and integration with Sage, we take all the information that we have entered via the GL distribution stamp. We go ahead and create your payables transaction entry inside of Sage. And as you can see here, we have the metadata populated already. So things that you would typically key in, once again, referring to my demonstration, it was extracted by OCR, intelligent OCR. It's now populated here. The GL account coding was done through our GL distribution form and workflow. But not only that, with this transaction, we've added a View Documents button, which allows you to view the transaction or the document this transaction is related to. So if, right now, if you're entering in via paper and you're having to file that paper away, all those tasks would be eliminated because either as a Sage user or just an external user, you'll have the ability, if you have the rights, to go ahead and access the related information. So in this case, as you can see, when I click View Documents, it opened up my DocLink document viewer. And within that viewer comes a couple of things, once again, depending if you have the rights or the ability to see it, right? In this case, I'm going to expand my window a little bit so you'll see more what I'm talking about. With this specific transaction, there have been some annotations conducted on the image itself, so you can see that. There have been some redaction. Maybe somebody doesn't want me to see specific details of the invoice, so somebody has redacted that. I also have an audit trail of the approvals. Where did this transaction go to for further approvals? And if any notes were provided on this transaction, I can also see it. In addition to that, we also have the ability to provide detailed information. So here, if I want to see the workflow history, what happened to this transaction as it moved through the approval process? Did anybody provide any additional audit history? So here you can see, coming in, what happened to it. They provided an index values. There were some workflows that was done. There was a distribution stamp that was conducted, and so on. So you have a full audit trail as to what has happened to this transaction, and also you'll be able to see if there's any bottlenecks or slowdowns in the approval process. Okay. And at the end of the day, when all is said and done, Sage is still your system of record. We're not taking that away from you. Everything that you do, all the reports and everything else will be coming out of Sage. Your posting and payments will also be happening out of Sage. What we're doing is we're providing an added value so that you can get rid of the paper, you can get rid of the filing cabinets, and being able to go ahead and cater to your team, your users, being able to go ahead and retrieve the data and information and document faster than having to go to your archives, right? Speaking of payments, I want to go ahead and show you another interface that we have, which is what we call the web client. The web client is a zero footprint client. So basically, if you don't want to go through the DocLink Smart Client, this is another option that we have. And with the DocLink Smart Client, once again, it's just another interface. So let me show you a couple of use cases that we have here. So speaking of payments, let's just say that I have a vendor call me up and inquire about a specific invoice that hasn't gotten paid yet. Well, I have document types, in this case, a check number. And if for some reason I don't know any of the values, I don't have to provide any qualifiers here. I'll just do a blank search. So it's going to pull up basically all the checks that I have in my system. And in this case, you'll see, it is my demo environment, so I'm only showing a few. But let's just say I want to go ahead and take a look at check number 4. This is related to what we call a relative search. Basically, what we do here is you can click on a property value. And when you click on a property value, in this case, check number 4, you can pull up any associated documents that has that property value indexed. So in this case, I want to pull up all my documents. So what I'm seeing here is I have my AP invoice and I have my check. So if my vendor inquires and saying, hey, I submitted this invoice, at so-and-so date, have you paid it? I can go ahead and go into my DocLink system. I can pull up the AP invoice based on the vendor or maybe the date or whatever information they have provided for me, as well as I'm able to conduct that research immediately. And I can tell the system, okay, go ahead and show me, my check as well as the invoice that it got paid against. So here you have the property values down here, and you have the invoice here as well. So, basically keeping it easy for people to go ahead and search and retrieve information from DocLink in itself. Another use case that we have, part of our core product, is full text search capabilities. I know Warren talked a lot about AP, use cases on AP. What could full text search be used for? And what could DocLink be used for? DocLink is an enterprise-wide solution, which means, we target maybe the accounting process initially, but could it be rolled out to your AR, your sales order process, your HR onboarding process, in this case, contracts, storage of contracts, definitely. You can store more than just images in the system. You can store MPEG files, you can store proprietary files such as CAD drawings or Visio drawings inside of DocLink for search and retrieval. In this case, I just want to give you a use case real quick of a full text search capability. So I'm storing contracts into my system. And let's just say, I know that I'm searching for a contract that has Altec within its contents. So I can go ahead and just do a blank search. And what the system will do for me is it'll go ahead and pull up all my contract document types that has Altec mentioned within that. And from there, I can simply go ahead and click on it. And in this case, it'll go ahead and open up, the Word document for me. So in this case, just opening up a Word document as you see there. Okay. One other use case that I'd like to show, well, actually in conjunction with the being able to store Word documents and what have you, we also have version controls. So if you have contracts that needs to be reviewed and needs to be revised, you have version control capabilities. We're able to keep that in check and also store historical versions of that document as it flows through, year by year or what have you. The other use case that we have, and Warren touched upon it a little bit during his presentation, is smart forms. So smart forms gives you the ability to initiate a business process. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and give you some examples of accounting forms that we have created as part of our demonstration. In this case, you'll see there is a purchase requisition form. If you're doing POs, if you're doing a requisition approval in the front end of the process, you can do that electronically and digitally. As well as some other examples that we have here, credit card reconciliation, maybe a check request, maybe an expense report that needs to happen. The smart form is configurable to what you want it to do, what you want it to show, and it works in conjunction with our workflow process, because typically you're starting something, you're initiating a business process, and sometimes you may just want it for storage, but most of the time you want it for some type of approval process so it can go into the next step. And once again, being able to have visibility of that process from the beginning, in this case a purchase requisition, all the way to the end, right? The check payment of that, the purchase requisition, the PO, the goods receipt, the invoice, any other supporting documents that may flow along within that process. So with the smart form capabilities, I'm going to go ahead and just click start here real quick. Basically, it gives you the ability, we can default certain values, making it easier for your users, as well as, once again, we can repurpose all the data that you have either within Sage, or if you need to take a look at another external system, we can look into that and pull back and validate information. What this gives you is the control and the ability to limit what the users can enter, and making sure that it is a valid values as they enter the information inside of this purchase requisition form. Also, you have the ability to create contracts. So in this case, if I click on this, if you have recurring requisitions that needs to happen, you can certainly do that. And by simply picking that template, you can see everything else is filled out, and I can go ahead and create this process and initiate the approval process from this point forward. Okay, I've covered quite a bit of our use case scenarios. Hopefully you folks have found some of it, or most of it, interesting and maybe applicable to getting your first step into getting into a paperless or digital process. As I mentioned, this is, once again, it's still a very high level. We'll be certainly more than happy to dig into your process, see where we can provide values, reach out to Patrick and his team out there. We'll get in contact with us and Warren. We'll be more than happy to get that process engaged. I think at this point, I would like to go ahead and turn the baton back to Warren to see if there are any questions that we can answer. Hopefully you folks have asked some questions in the Q&A panel. As a reminder, go ahead and type in your questions there, and we will answer it as we progress through the presentation. Warren, back to you.
Did we lose Lauren?
No, I'm here.
There you are.
Okay, let me check the question and chat box a bit. There are some questions. So the first one is, Orlando Staffing, does it work with Sage 100 Standard 2016?
Sorry, what was the question, Lauren?
Does DocLink work with Sage 100 Standard 2016?
Yes, it does.
I figured it. I just wanted a confirmation from you guys. Let's see. There's someone's asking, can prior invoices already paid get added to the software and linked back to their ERP system?
Yes, so we have the ability to import in what we refer to as back file conversions. Obviously, they have to be imaged if they're not already imaged. And then depending on how, and it depends on the organization, how the file naming convention is conducted, we can either use the property values or index values from that file naming convention. If it's just an arbitrary file naming convention, then basically we would need to manually index that transaction And we can also conduct lookups as well. So you may not actually have to do a manual data entry. To enter the data into the system, it could be validated against your Sage environment, or with OCR, then we can go ahead and take care of that process as well for automated intelligent extraction. So there's multiple ways of doing it. We just need to know, how much do you want to store point forward, or from how far back with your backfile conversions.
And this is Warren. I'd like to add a little something to that, kind of, similar. A lot of companies come to us, our organizations say, I have another document management system I use or used to use, and I want to use, DocLink now. Can you do something with my existing system documents? The answer is usually yes. We have to look at the system, but many times we can take the documents from another document management system and import them and bring them over into DocLink as well. So that's another question that I wanted to kind of add on to that. So if you have a system already and you want to, move it over, it should be able to be ported over with no problem.
All right, thank you, Mark and Warren. I have a couple more questions. So is DocLink installed on its own server, or can it be installed on a server that is running other applications as well?
Yeah, technically it could be installed on the same server. The dependency on that obviously is resources, making sure that there is enough resource so that there's no bottlenecks. You're not waiting for either the document to come up or to be queried or what have you. So our implementations we have installed on existing Sage environments. Their databases and what have you, so we can reuse all those licenses and everything else. But really, it's just dependent on the resources. And we also run a virtualized environment. If that's a plus, it's easy enough to spin up a virtualized environment. Typically, if you're looking for further growth within your organization, then at that point we can discuss. Is it better to install it in the Sage instance, or is it better to install it in a new instance?
Okay, great, thank you. So I do have another couple more questions, but if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and type that in the chat box before you forget. But another question is, what is the backup for a check run? Our CEO wants to see what was paid.
That's a good question. Part of our use cases, actually, what we do, and we have a functionality called ERM, or Enterprise Report Management. Basically, what that does is it takes a copy of the check that you print out of your Sage environment. And in addition to that, while I'm starting off with that process, is when you print it out, we store it in DocLink. And as you saw, we're able to go ahead and relate the invoices that got paid against that check. Typically, what happens in that process is we initiate, or an initiation of a check review workflow process come into play. And then at that point, your CFO will receive a notification that there's a check review that he or she needs to address. And what would happen is they will get the transaction with a check, as well as with the supporting documents for their review prior to approving or moving forward with that process. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, and then I have one last question. Does licensing for this software have both named and concurrent licensing, or what is the licensing model?
I will answer that. We are a concurrent user system. So when you have a license, as many people you can have log into the system and be part of the process, but the number of licenses that you own, that's the number of people that can get into the system, kind of like musical chairs, if you would. So that's how our system works. It is concurrent. So we try to really nail it down, and we're pretty good at that, to the number of full users, number of people that might be, say, an AP process that might be approving here and there. And we look at that, and we have a ratio we draw out, the idea being to give you the maximum amount of usage with the minimum amount of licenses. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Warren. Okay, I don't have any other questions. So are there any last-minute words from any of you gentlemen? or if anybody has any questions later on, do feel free to reach out to Patrick and his team, and we can get that answer for you. But if there's any last-minute words or thoughts before we end the webinar?
Nope, just thank you guys and the team from Alltech for joining us. And yeah, we look forward to working with you guys more, and we'll be happy to share this presentation with anyone else that's wants to see a recording of it. But again, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.